What you're watching is the Houthis seizing a cargo ship inside one of the busiest shipping lanes on Earth. 25 crew members on board were taken hostage. But this wasn't just one attack. Over the next 9 months, the Houthis attacked over 175 ships in the same waters. Major shipping companies were forced to avoid this trade route entirely, and over $1 trillion worth of global trade was disrupted. Now, you might be wondering, why couldn't anyone stop them? Well, the United States tried. Israel tried. And Saudi Arabia spent nearly a decade trying to dismantle them. None of them succeeded. The Houthis are still there, still firing, still controlling one of the world's most important shipping corridors. So what exactly is protecting the Houthis? And why can't even the most powerful militaries on Earth eliminate them? Today, the Houthis control roughly a third of Yemen's territory, the northwestern highlands, the capital Sana'a, and the entire Red Sea coastline. This region is home to over 70% of Yemen's population and the country's most important port. But to understand how the Houthis got here, you need to understand where they came from. The Houthis originated from Sana'a, a mountain city in Yemen's far northwest, sitting at 1,800 meters above sea level within the Sarawat mountain range. The terrain here doesn't just rise. It collapses into steep valleys and ridges that invading armies have struggled to cross for centuries. It's one of the most rugged mountain systems on the Arabian Peninsula. And for over 1,000 years, the highland tribes of northern Yemen have resisted outside control. Empires arrived, armies advanced, but the terrain absorbed them. And even modern air power hasn't changed that. The Houthis are the latest iteration of that resistance. They emerged from Sana'a in the early 2000s, took control of the province during Yemen's 2011 uprising, and by September 2014 had captured Sana'a with relatively little resistance. Then they kept moving west through the descending highland terrain until they reached the Red Sea coastline. And once they controlled this coastline, they got access to one of the most critical choke points on Earth, the el-Mandeb Strait. In Arabic, it means the Gate of Tears. The el-Mandeb Strait is 32 kilometers wide at its narrowest, separating Yemen from Djibouti and Eritrea on the Horn of Africa. At the center sits Perim Island, dividing it into two channels, the western used by large international shipping and the eastern, just 2 miles wide, running directly beside the Yemeni coastline. 1/4 of all global container trade passes through here. There's no alternative. There's no bypass. The British Empire even seized Perim Island in 1799 specifically to command this passage, and every major power since then has recognized what control here means. The Houthis recognized it too. But for 9 years after seizing the coastline, they did nothing with it. 65 ships passed through every single day without incident. That's over 20,000 ships transiting annually. Then October 7th happened. Following the attacks on Hamas, the Houthis declared war on Israel, and they turned their coastal position into a weapon. On November 19, 2023, they seized the Galaxy Leader, a cargo ship linked to an Israeli-owned company. 25 crew members were taken hostage. The attack was framed as solidarity with Gaza, but what followed went far beyond that. The Houthis expanded their targets, first Israel-linked ships, then American and British vessels, then any company that had ever docked at an Israeli port. Until by July 2024, the message was simple. If you're in the corridor, you're a target. In less than 9 months, one of the world's busiest shipping lanes had become too dangerous to use. Over 178 vessels were attacked, 4 ships sunk, and 9 sailors killed. Following this, the 6 largest container shipping companies on Earth, Maersk, MSC, CMA CGM, COSCO, Hapag-Lloyd, Evergreen, all stopped using the Red Sea. Traffic through the Suez Canal collapsed from 2,068 ships in November 2023 to 877 by October 2024. A 58% collapse in one of the world's most critical trade corridors. Oil flow through the Bab el-Mandeb was cut nearly in half, from 8.8 million barrels per day to 4 million. The Russell Group estimated that goods worth $1 trillion were disrupted in just the first 7 months. Egypt, a country with nothing to do with this conflict, lost $2.2 billion in Suez Canal revenue because of attacks launched 2,000 kilometers away. Israel's port of Eilat saw activity collapse by 85% and was forced to shut down entirely. The disruption even revived Somali piracy, a completely separate maritime threat located 1,500 kilometers away, filling the security vacuum the Red Sea crisis created. Ships were forced to reroute around Africa, adding 11,000 nautical miles to every journey. So why couldn't anyone stop them? The answer lies in geography. The Sarawat mountain range that sheltered the Houthis for decades didn't just give them cover, it gave them a fortress. Peaks rising above 2,000 meters, valleys dropping hundreds of meters below. Terrain so severe that even locating targets from the air is often difficult, let alone destroying them. But it goes deeper than the surface. The Houthis didn't just hide in the mountains, they built inside them. Tunnel networks, underground bunkers, hidden missile sites. Some were natural caves, others were purpose-built deep beneath the rock. It mirrors what we've seen in Iran, where underground missile cities buried beneath mountain bedrock have absorbed strike campaigns without losing core capability. The Houthis learned the same lesson. Go underground, go deep, and make yourself almost impossible to destroy from the air. In October 2024, the US deployed B-2 Spirit stealth bombers, the most advanced bunker-busting aircraft on Earth, to strike underground weapons facilities in Yemen. Defense Secretary Austin called it a unique demonstration of America's ability to reach what adversaries keep out of reach. A senior Houthi official dismissed the strikes as negligible in the face of the infrastructure that we possess. The mountains don't just hide fighters, they hide an entire underground military. And you can't bomb a mountain range into submission from the air. This is exactly why every military campaign against them has failed. The formula to Houthi survival is simple. The mountains protect, the coast projects. If you strike the coastline, launches move back into the highlands. And if you strike the highlands, the tunnel network absorbs it. 200 kilometers of mountains separate them, but no airstrike campaign can fully neutralize both at the same time. So, is there anything that actually works? Theoretically, yes, a ground invasion. Military planners have outlined a coordinated assault from 4 directions: west from the Red Sea coast, east from Marib, south from Aden, and through the center. Capture Hadeda first, cut the Houthis off from the coast, then push them back into the highlands with US air cover, UAE-backed factions, and Saudi logistics. On paper, it sounds achievable, until you look at the terrain. An Emirati commander who led ground forces towards Sana'a in 2015 compared the mountains between Marib and the capital to Afghanistan, towering peaks, landmines in every valley, and every ridge a potential ambush. And that was only the route to Sana'a. The Houthi heartland lies even further north. Saudi Arabia has already declined such an operation. A ground invasion risks reigniting full-scale civil war. And even if every major city were captured, tens of thousands of fighters would still remain inside the mountains of Sada, where the Houthis know every pass, tunnel, and ridgeline. Egypt already learned this lesson decades ago. 70,000 troops, 26,000 casualties, 8 years, and the highlands still held. And that's why every major power eventually falls back on airstrikes, not because they work perfectly, but because the alternative is even worse. The pause the world is watching right now is not a victory. It's not a resolution. It's not even a retreat. It's the Houthis doing what highland fighters in these mountains have always done when pressure builds. They wait. The mountains were there before the Houthis, and they will still be there long after every ceasefire, air campaign, and declaration of victory. That is why the Houthis cannot be eliminated. Not as a political statement, but as a geographic reality.